Hi, everyone, and welcome to the All Points North Lodge virtual speaker series. My name is Anna. I'm the marketing manager at APN Lodge, and I am so excited to have you here. We're going to see some more attendees trickling in as we get started here, but just wanted to hop on really quick and say hello. Thank you for being here. Wanted to give a special shout out to our clients at the Lodge who are watching this in the media room. We're so glad to have you joining in. I wanted to give a shout out to our alumni and our telehealth clients who are all over the country, potentially even all over the world right now, tuning in. And anyone who's watching this who maybe is a family member of a client, we know this is like a really, really great opportunity for you to provide or to get some resources, some education, some inspiration. And so I can't wait for today, and I hope that you're excited too. So a couple things here as we get started. There are some times where our speaker is going to ask you to get involved. So if you would like to participate, the chat will be open to you so that you can pop in your answers or your thoughts. Now, the default of that chat is to show your name. So please know if you are going to chat, your name will pop up. Now, you can change it in your settings. So you have to click on your name in your chat and change it to anonymous. That's available to you as well. So if you want to protect your privacy and still participate, please do that. Just change your name to anonymous. Lastly, our speaker has a crazy story to share today, and I think it's going to be really inspiring to you. It's inspiring to me. And so he is going to be taking questions at the end. So if at any point during the presentation you have questions or thoughts or comments or whatever it may be, we would love to hear those. So there's a Q&A box. You can submit your question with your name or anonymously, and we will see it from the back end. I'll hop back on with him at the end and do some Q&A. So without further ado, I would love to introduce to you Kevin Parker. Kevin Parker is an incredible speaker and has a crazy story, and I barely even want to introduce him because I don't want to steal any of his thunder. So Kevin Parker has a crazy story of redemption and recovery, and now he is certified in recovery coaching, drug interventions, family coaching, sober companionship, and a whole bunch of other things. With that being said, it wasn't always that way. So he's going to tell you his story today. And again, feel free to drop notes in the chat, questions in the Q&A box, and we will get started. Kevin, welcome. So happy to have you here. Let's do it.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. I really do appreciate that. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. This is a powerful quote by Dr. Wayne Dyer. It changed my life. I realized that I was looking at life through the wrong lens. And I realized that some of you out there might need a shift in perspective, and I'm going to teach you how to do that today. So I'm going to take a quick poll. How many of you ever felt like you were bullied in your life? Type 1 in the chat box. Okay. How many of you ever felt completely alone? And last, how many of you ever felt like you were never good enough? Type 3 in the chat box. Thank you. I felt this way every single day of my life as a kid. And at 2 years old, my mother moved in with my stepfather. He had 2 sons. One was my age. Unfortunately, when he was 2 years old, he got attacked by a wolf. It completely mutilated his face, ripped off his scalp. It even took one of his ears. This is a trauma that nobody should ever go through, no less a 2-year-old. From this event, he became extremely vicious and mean. And me being half his size, he took every ounce of his aggression out on me. He never missed the opportunity to physically, mentally, or emotionally abuse me. And because of this, at 10 years old, I started smoking and drinking on a daily basis. By high school, I did just about every drug you could think of. And I was selling drugs just to get by. See, this made me feel normal. In high school, I felt like the man. I had all the money a 14-year-old should ever have. I had all the friends, all the women, all the so-called respect you can ever ask for. I learned how to cut every corner in life. But little did I know, the only thing I was cutting short was myself. When I started high school, I was in the honors class. I was an all-star football player, an all-star baseball player. But by the time I graduated, I got through by the skin of my teeth. I watched all my friends go away to their dream colleges while I had to stay home and go to a local one. This is when the resentment really started happening for myself. And at 18 years old, I got hit by a bus. I injured my neck and my back, and I got severely addicted to painkillers. This is when my whole life started to fall apart. I started to get arrested all the time. I got into debt with somebody who wanted to kill me. I lost every real friend I ever had, every relationship. I felt completely worthless. Eventually, I ended up homeless. I had to move back with my father. It was completely humiliating. He let me stay for about 6 months until he gave me an ultimatum. He said, Kev, either get help or get out. Me being all prideful, I chose to leave. I packed up all my stuff in a book bag, grabbed my safe, I threw it on my shoulder, and I stormed out the house. I walked a mile in the freezing cold in a tank top and shorts with a safe on my shoulder with tears streaming down my face. When I got to my best friend's house, I convinced his mother that he hated me, that he no longer loved me. And then I got kicked out and I had nowhere to go. She let me stay. She cooked me a bowl of macaroni and cheese that night I'll never forget, because it should have been the last meal of my life. Everybody woke up, but they woke up to me on the floor, face down in my vomit, blue, completely unresponsive. The next thing I knew was I was waking up in the hospital 3 weeks later. The first thing that I seen was my mother's and my father's face, crying hysterical. They looked like they aged 10 years since the last time I seen them. This is the most guilt and shame I've ever felt in my whole life. I tried to gather what was going on. I realized I overdosed. I was in a coma for 3 weeks. I died 3 times in that hospital. In fact, on the last time, it got so bad, they had a priest come in and read me my last rites. I'd hear the doctors say the things to my parents like, he's not going to make it through the night. You better make arrangements. My parents were in complete denial. They're like, don't talk about my son like that. You don't know him. He's strong. You'll see. They look at him like they were crazy. They're like, you don't understand. He had multi-organ failure. His liver, kidneys, lungs, heart, brain completely shut down. He has 108 fever right now. His brain is frying. If he survives, he's going to be a complete vegetable. He's never going to be the son you once knew. He's going to lose all 4 of his limbs and be completely brain dead. You're going to have to bathe him, feed him, wipe him for the rest of his life. Whew. When I heard this was worse than death to me. This is when I started to pray. I started praying to a God I didn't even believe in. Please, God, give me a second chance. If you get me out of this, I promise I'll change. I'll promise I'll make a difference. Just give me one more shot. I begged and pleaded for weeks on end. No response. Until one day, the doctor came in and said, Kevin, I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news is, I think you're going to make it. I think you're out of the woods. The bad news is, we're going to have to take your leg or you're going to die. When I heard this, every emotion you could possibly think of ran through my head. Anger, frustration, resentment, guilt, shame. Every question you could possibly ask yourself. What was I going to do for the rest of my life? How was I going to make money? What girl was going to want to marry a man with one leg when there are literally billions walking around with two? Now, although I felt all of these emotions, there was one emotion that I had to hold on to the tightest. That was the emotion of gratitude. Being grateful I was still alive. See, I battled in that hospital for 4 months, not knowing if I was going to live or die. I couldn't breathe on my own. They had me on the breathing machines. They would lower the oxygen just low enough so I would struggle for each breath, but just high enough so I wouldn't die. It was like being waterboarded. It was torture. I went through so much in that hospital. But what I did learn is no matter what your circumstances are, your support system is your number one asset in life. Because when your back's up against the wall and you have no other options, it's your support system that's going to get you through. Now, for me, it was my family. But for you, it could be family, friends, a really good program, God, a combination. It doesn't matter. But when you have no other options, it's your support system that's going to get you through. And thank God I had such an amazing support system. Because when I left that hospital, I thought the battle was over. I was dead wrong. It just begun. I left the hospital in a wheelchair. And when I pulled up to my house and I realized I had to get up 2 flights of stairs just to get to my bed, it might as well have been a mountain. It took me an hour and a half to get up those stairs. Every ounce of strength that I can muster. When I got to my bed, I collapsed in pure exhaustion. And this is when it all hit me. I was all alone. My girlfriend just left me. I had no real friends, no career anymore. I lost my leg. I was blind in one of my eyes. I couldn't move my hand. I was literally half the man I used to be. I was so angry, so depressed. I wanted to kill myself. But then I realized and I remembered the conversations that I had in the hospital, begging and pleading for a second chance. Now, although this wasn't the second chance I would have chosen, nonetheless, it was still a second chance. And I had to hold my end of the bargain. My stepmother suggested I watch a movie called The Secret. I don't know if anybody here has ever read the book or watched the movie The Secret, but it's about the law of attraction. Like attracts like. Napoleon Hill said it best when he said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. This was a powerful thought for me. It gave me hope. I would lay in bed and visualize and manifest the life that I truly wanted to live. I took out a piece of paper and wrote down all the things that I wanted in life. I started with the basics. I wanted to be able to walk again. I wanted to be able to move my hand. I wanted to make friends, find a purpose, find a woman that would love me. But I realized before I did any of this, the first thing I had to do was get off of painkillers. Now, I don't know how many of you out there have ever gone through opiate withdrawal, but it's absolute torture. It's like having the worst flu that you can think of, and every ounce of physical, mental, and emotional pain that you should have felt that entire time using hit you all at once. It is absolutely brutal. Now, I could have went the traditional route and went to a detox and a rehab facility, but there was no way anybody was getting me back into a hospital after being there for 4 months. There was no way. So I locked myself in my room and I white knuckled it until I felt better. It took me about a month until I started to feel kind of normal. And I realized the next step was to go to the doctor and figure out how I was going to walk again. So I took a trip to the prosthetist and I asked the doc, I said, what do you think? He said, Kevin, it doesn't look good. You're 120 pounds. You have atrophy throughout your body. You can't move your hand, nerve damage. It's probably going to take you about 2 years to learn how to walk. 2 years. When I heard this, I was pissed off. I almost cursed the guy out. I said, no offense, doc, but you don't know me. I'll show you. And I stormed out in my wheelchair. I was determined. I came back 2 weeks later with just a cane. The nurse tried to grab me. I said, ep, don't touch me. I'm going to do this my way. I came back 2 weeks after that, completely unassisted, walking on my own 2 feet. The doctor was blown away. He could not believe it. I couldn't believe it either after I seen his reaction. But this gave me momentum, and momentum is a strong thing. Dedicated my life to improving. A month later, I gathered my whole family together and a video recorder, and I had them record me running down the block. Imagine this. A doctor tells you it's going to take you 2 years to learn how to walk. I was running in 2 months. And what I've learned from this is, don't ever let anyone ever tell you what you can or cannot do in life. Your only limitations are your mindset and your beliefs. You could do anything if you believe. This really started giving me the momentum I needed, and I had to start getting my body back physically because that's the first thing I needed to get back. But I couldn't move my hand. I had complete nerve damage in my hand, and the doctor said I would never be able to move that again. And again, I said to him, don't tell me what I can do. I'll show you. So I stared at my hand for months. About 6 months, I stared at my hand. I talked to it every day. I was like, come on, we've been doing this our whole lives. Just move. Didn't move. I said, I got all day. I'm not going anywhere until you move. And one day, my finger wiggled. And that's all I needed to know. I started getting my fingers to move. I started getting my wrist, my hand to move. And now, I could do this. It works about 90%. I can't feel certain things, but I am so blessed. It's a miracle that I can actually move my hand because no doctor even thought it was possible. That was 2 miracles in my life. Started going to the gym. I started eating a lot, gaining my weight because I was 120 pounds when I walked out of the hospital. I was skin and bones. I'm 220 now. I started working out. I started eating. I finally got back to a decent physicality. Now, although I was looking good physical, mentally and emotionally, I was a wreck. I had no self-esteem, no confidence. I didn't even know who I was. I have a little brother. His name's Sean, and he is like the most popular person in Staten Island where I live. He's like the mayor. And he was so proud that I recovered from this. He would bring me out and he'd introduce me to absolutely everybody. And he'd say, hey, this is Kevin. And I go introduce myself. I'd shake their hand. Immediately, I would look down because I couldn't make eye contact with people because I didn't believe in myself. I had no identity. I didn't know who I was. This went on for months. I'll never forget the day this changed forever. It was my first Halloween. I was invited to a costume party. I went to the costume store and I picked out the perfect outfit. I was going to be a pirate, but not just any pirate. I would cut off the pant leg. I dressed my prosthetic as a peg leg, and I went out that night as Parker the Peg Leg Pirate. And let me tell you, I was a hit of this party. I was dancing and laughing all over the place. I met every person at that party. I even met a beautiful girl that I spent the whole night with. And every time somebody asked me, what happened to your leg? I looked them straight in the eye. I said, arr, shark ate me leg. Totally in character. And it was this running joke the entire night. I had one of the best times of my life that night. In fact, I won the costume contest. It was amazing. What I learned was people were loving me for me. I needed to start loving me for me. This is when I started to own it. I leaned into it. I turned my biggest weakness into my biggest strength. This is the night that I went from a crippled, disabled boy to a one-legged warrior. I learned this night that you have to take 100% responsibility for your life and your circumstances. Now, a lot of people think responsibility is like an obligation. It is not. Responsibility, the root words are ability to respond. Able to respond. That's power. That's a position of power. So when you start taking responsibility, 100% responsibility, you are sitting in the driver's seat of your life, and you can create the future that you truly want. And from this point, I never looked back. I realized there was so many things in my life I needed to work on because I was a mess. I had no identity. I was a shell of who I used to be. So I started picking up books. I read well over 200 self-development books, autobiographies, anything to make me more valuable, anything to learn something, any way to grow. I went to licenses and certifications. I went to seminars. I traveled self-development gurus. I even went back to college to get my bachelor's degree in psychology. I just wanted to be as valuable as I possibly could. And what I learned from all of my studies, all of my training, that there are certain human needs that every single human needs fulfilled. And I'm going to share you with them today. I'd like you to write these down. The first need that everybody needs is certainty. Certainty is about comfort. It's about feeling protected, feeling safe, knowing what's going to happen next. A lot of people fear the unknown. And I'm going to ask you, how many of you feel that certainty in your life is a really important need? I'd like you to type 1 in the chat box. Thank you. Yeah, see, certainty can be met in so many different ways. It can be met in a productive way or a destructive way. Unfortunately for me, when I was younger, I got my needs met in all the worst ways, especially with drugs and alcohol. See, I got so much certainty from doing drugs. I knew when I did them, I was going to get high. I knew when I did drugs, I was going to have people around me that were going to do them with me. I knew that I was going to get invited to all the parties, that I was going to have some kind of crazy night by the end of the night. I knew that there was always something to do because I would fill it with my habit. I knew I'd always have money in my pockets because I sold them. I knew people wanted me to be around. I got so much certainty from this, but I didn't realize that it was destroying my life because it was getting a need met, and that was okay with me. How many of you, for your need for certainty, ever got you to pass up an opportunity? Maybe a job, maybe ask out a pretty girl or a guy. It happens because people need to be able to predict what's going to happen, or they get nervous or they're fearful. Everybody has this need. But the trick is to get your needs met in a conducive way for success and happiness. An example of this is, if you need certainty, hang out and be around people that care and love you, whether it's family or friends. You know your family and friends. You know what their intentions are. You feel safe around them and comfortable, and they wouldn't make you do something you weren't comfortable or know about. This is a real good place for you to spend a lot of your time around people that are going to look out for you, that care for you, because it gives you that comfort bubble, that comfort zone of protection. You know you're not the only person that has your back in that area. It's a great way to get certainty. Another one is get a 9-to-5 job. This gives you certainty in financial security, knowing that if you work 9 to 5 or whatever your hours are, it doesn't really matter. But if you work at the end of the week, you're going to have a check. If you do X, you're going to get Y. It's predictable. That'll give you the comfort that you need to be able to predict what's going to happen in the future, how you're going to get through life. And one of the thirds of my favorite is creating routines in your life. This sure gives certainty. And more specifically, bookending your days. For the people that don't know what that is, bookending your days is making a morning routine for yourself and a night routine for yourself. Your morning routine might be get up, make your bed, drink a glass of water, do a little exercise, maybe a gratitude list, prayer, meditation, whatever it might be. And then at night, read a little bit, do your meditation, take your shower, do a to-do list, whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is, the only control you have in your life is your mornings and your nights, how you start your day and how you end it. And what's cool about this is you can plan these to your watch. And eventually, if you have really good mornings and really good nights, through osmosis, it'll slowly start taking over the rest of your day. And you'll realize that you're having better days each and every day. So if certainty is really important for you, find a way to get it met in a productive way. The second human need is the need for variety. Variety is the spice of life. It makes things exciting. It makes things adventurous. It makes things interesting. Everybody needs this in their lives. You don't believe me? I'll give you an example. What's your favorite food? My favorite food is king crab legs. I love king crab legs. If you ever invite me over for king crab legs, I'm coming over because I absolutely love them. So if you invite me over and I eat king crab legs the first night, I'll be like, this is the most delicious thing I ever had. If you invite me over the second night, I'll be like, wow, this is really, really good. The third night, I'll be like, yeah, that was pretty good. By the 4th, 5th, 10th, 20th night, I won't even be able to eat one bite of crab. I won't even want to look at it because the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again loses its luster. Have you ever had a meal growing up as a kid that your parents made every single night? That if you've seen it today, you couldn't even stomach it? I do. I can't eat chicken on the bone because of my parents. They used to make it every day because we were poor. And this is what the variety brings in your life. It brings you excitement. But there's ways that you can get them met in good ways and bad ways. When I was in my addiction, I got them met in all the bad ways. You guessed it, drugs and alcohol did it for me. I had so much variety from this lifestyle. It fueled me in so many different ways. I didn't know how much I was going to do every single night. The fact that I had my own supply, I didn't know what kind I was going to do, how high I was going to get, the people that I was going to do them with, where I was going to end up by the end of the night. I had no idea. I had no idea how much money I was going to make or whether I was going to get robbed into a fight or arrested. The possibilities were endless. Now, a lot of them may not be good possibilities, but it did make it exciting because I had to guess on what was going to happen. It gave me variety in my life. Variety can get everybody in trouble. I'll ask you, how many of you ever been in a relationship? I'll use this as an example. How many of you have been in a relationship and a pretty girl or a handsome man walks by and it catches your eye and you look over? What are you doing that for? Because in your subconscious mind, you're like, wow, I kind of want a little variety in my life, or I want to check that out. That's something different. And it's not good. It could get you in trouble. There's so many reasons that you can get in trouble. Maybe somebody brings you to a situation that you shouldn't have been in, but you want to give it a shot and you wind up getting in trouble. But if variety is really important for you, and we're going to get into this because we need to figure out what's really important for you and how we can feed these needs. But if variety is really important for you, one of the ways that you can get this need fulfilled is travel. Traveling is like one of the best things if you need variety in your life. There are millions of places to visit, so many things to see. I know myself, I love traveling now. I love visiting new places, meeting new people, trying out new foods. The possibilities are endless. It always gives me something to look forward to. After I do something incredible in my business or I hit a goal or something, I go take a trip because that's what I love to do. And there's so many different possibilities in that. Another thing is you can start your own business. I know from personal experience. There's so many things that can happen when you own your own business. You don't know how much money you're going to make every day. You don't know how you're going to feel or what kind of customers or clients you're going to have. You don't know how the economy is. If you're a speaker, you don't know if you're going to kill the speech or bomb it. You never know. It's exciting. There's so many things that go into it. And last, one of the things that I really like in variety is going to the gym. Going to the gym gives you so much variety in your life. There is so many things when you get there. You can work out outdoors. You can work out indoors. You could do chest, shoulders, arms, legs. You could do calisthenics. You could do weightlifting. You could do absolutely anything. You could switch up your sets. You could switch up your reps. You could work out with somebody else. The possibilities are all there. But if you have any negative behaviors and variety is getting filled by them, find something positive to shift into. Because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. The third human need is the need for significance. This one was another big one when I was younger because I had no self-esteem. I had no confidence in my life. Significance is about feeling important, feeling needed, feeling appreciated. There are so many ways to get this met, but also it can be an egotistic thing. And for me, it was. My ego was so big because I always wanted to feel better than myself. How many of you feel that significance in your life is an important thing? I'd like you to type 3 in the chat box. Okay. Well, for me, it was one of the most important, right up there with certainty. I needed to be certain of what was going on, and I needed to feel like I was the man. And I did. I would do drugs, and I felt outside of my body. I had no anxiety. There was a significant feeling that I had when I was high. And although it was bad for me, it fulfilled my needs. I felt great every time I got invited to a party or I was hanging out with people that were doing the same wrong things. I felt like the man because I could do more than anybody else out there. I was always doing it bigger, better, more than anybody else. I felt significant about the lifestyle, that I was a dealer, that everybody came to me because I had what they needed. I knew that people wanted me to be around because I had what they needed. The whole entire lifestyle pulled me in so deep, and I didn't even see it coming because it was fulfilling all of my needs. And that's the problem. When our needs are getting met in a toxic way, we'll accept it because it's giving us what we really want. Maybe in the wrong way, but it's still fulfilling our needs. Has you feeling significant in your life ever put you in a bad position, maybe ruined a relationship or made you look like a fool in front of a bunch of people because you had to be the big shot or you had to be more than you ever were? That's a way that you get a need met in a destructive way. But there are so many ways to be significant in a productive way. One is give away your time and your energy or your money. Be a philanthropist. Figure out something that you can pour your energy into. Give somebody value. Helping out anybody is significant. Finding a purpose that you can run with and believe in. Figuring out a way how you can start a mission and really, really create something great in this world. Helping somebody is the most significant you can ever feel. It's absolutely amazing. Becoming the best at what you do in life. And that could be anything. It could be at your job. Become the best person you are at your job. You'll see it in your money. They'll be giving you raises and people will appreciate you because you're doing so much. Maybe being significant in your family or a friendship. Really doing the right thing. Being important. Getting appreciated. Being valuable. It can be even in a sport. I know growing up, I played sports. I felt awesome when I was really good. When I did right and I hit the winning home run or scored the touchdown, I felt pretty significant. Find something you could pour into like that because that's where real true happiness comes from, by fulfilling these needs in the right way. But the first step is to see how you've been getting them met in the past. And that's when you can make the change. The fourth human need that all humans need, and this is a big one, love and connection. We all need love and connection in our lives. We're social creatures. We need to feel some kind of intimate connection with something outside of ourselves. Now, you can love your family. You can love a significant other. You can love an experience. You can connect with an activity, a purpose, a mission. You can love and connect with absolutely anything out there. What's great about love and connection, love is the ultimate multiplier. Whatever you pour it into, multiplies exponentially, becomes greater than it was when you found it. Love is a powerful thing. Again, let me ask you, how many of you feel that love and connection is one of the most important needs in your life? I'd like you to type 4 in the chat box. Okay, I'm going to pull up this chat just so I can see it. Excellent. Yeah, so love and connection can be met in all kinds of ways. But me as a young, immature kid, I got it met in all the wrong ways. I was in love with the lifestyle of hanging out and doing drugs with my friends, selling drugs. I felt like the man. I loved how I felt when I got high. I loved the feeling of being around people that were doing the same thing and that body-mind connection that I was having. I was connected to the lifestyle and the identity of being a big shot, that everybody feared or respected me because I was doing these things. The whole identity enthralled me. It sucked me in. It consumed me. I was addicted to it. I loved it so much. There was nobody that was going to pull me away from that. The only thing that got that away from me is when I lost my leg. This is the only thing that pulled me away. See, love and connection is such a powerful thing. It can really put you in an amazing state. It can create a life that's absolutely fulfilling and amazing. But it can also put you in some dark places. Have you ever been in a relationship with somebody, a toxic ex, or in a toxic relationship that you couldn't let go of? That no matter what you did, you kept coming back. You kept falling for the same things. It's because you had such a love for that person. You had such a connection with that relationship. You couldn't let it go because it was fulfilling your needs, even though it was so bad for you. If you have a habit of getting your needs met in this type of way, you need to figure out a more positive way to get these needs met. And a big thing is loving your family. I say this time and time again. Trying to be close to your family is one of the biggest connections you can ever have because they've been around since the beginning of your time. Your mother, your father, your brother, sister, cousins, aunts, uncles. They've known you since you begin. Start connecting with them on a deeper level, figuring out what their needs are and how you can get them met. Figuring out what their love language is, how to connect with them on a deeper way. Because like I said, love is the ultimate multiplier. And there's nothing more fulfilling than feeling love and experiencing love. You can love your significant other. Find a way to make them happy. Love is about serving and connecting with them. Figure out what they want. Truly feel that. Because when you have love in your life and you have connection, there's no need for those bad things. When you find the right thing to pour those into, it's unstoppable. You can love activities. Like I said, I loved sports. Sports were amazing to me. I connected. When I played football, I was in the zone. There was nothing that could pull me away from it. I loved playing football. I loved playing baseball. Find an activity. It could be something different for you. Find a purpose. This is a really powerful love to have. Find a purpose or a mission in life that you connect with. Because when you do this and you multiply that, there's nothing that can stop you. You will have laser vision and you will complete anything you put your heart and soul into. You find that purpose and mission that you can connect with on a deep spiritual level, then there is no obstacle on this planet that is going to stop you from achieving your goals. But you have to find out what that is and redirect your energy to get that need met. And it'll change your life. The fifth human need that all humans need is the need for growth. Now, this is one of my favorites. Growth is about being bigger, better, stronger, wiser, more handsome, better than you were the day before. This is being in competition with the person you were yesterday. And this is powerful because this propels you into the direction that you want to go. The fact of the matter is, if you're not growing, you're dying. Now, how many of you out there feel that growth is a very important need in your life? I'd like you to type 5 in the chat box. Excellent. I love to see the people. These are my type of people. I'm all about growth. In fact, I told you my story. After my hospital experience, my whole life was about growth. I had to figure out ways to produce a new me, a new identity, figuring value into my life. And the cool thing about growth is, which I always try to push this on people and really, really promote it, is that there's no way to grow in a negative way. You can't do it. There's no way to grow in the wrong direction. That's called regression. Growth is about power. It's about moving forward. It's about getting to where you need to go and getting there more efficiently and more productively. My life is surrounded with growth. And the ways that I fulfill my needs in growth today is that I read books. I try to read every single day. Try to learn one fact. Because if you learn one thing every single day, that's 365 new things in 1 year. You are not the same person you were last year if you continue on that route. I love to pour into my clients. I love to go to seminars and trainings and get new certifications and licenses. I try to figure out anything I could do to be more valuable than I was yesterday. And you could do the same. Now, you don't have to have a business or do anything like that, but it could be growing in your relationship with your husband or wife, finding ways to make that better. It could be any relationship in your whole life. Finding a way to make them more rich, solving the problems in your life, figuring out what the things in your life that need improvement, because we're all have issues in our lives that can get better. Or it's doubling down on the things that you're awesome at. I'm a double down on the things you really like to be the best at that type of thing, because those are the things that you really love to do. And there'll be more momentum and fire behind that. But growth can be in all areas of your life. It could be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. It could be anything. Just get better than you were yesterday. I absolutely love this. And when you start harnessing the power of growth, you become unstoppable. You're like a locomotive. Nothing can stop you if you can harness the concept of actively, consciously trying to grow each and every day and loving it. When this becomes one of your top needs, you become successful. This is the secret to success. Learning to find fulfillment and growth. And everybody has their journey. Everybody has their process. But you need to find yours. The sixth and final human need, and this is my absolute favorite, is the need for contribution. This is a powerful one because this is the only one that you think outside of yourself, that you take the fruits of your life and share the you with the world. It's about taking the attention off of you and pouring into another person, or pouring into a mission or a vision or a purpose or a job or career. It does not matter, but it's adding value to other people. And that's powerful. Because if everybody in this world contributed just a little bit, this world would be a better place and people would be much happier. Because they say the cure to depression is selfless service to others. That's why it's the 12th step. How many of you feel that contribution is a really important need in your life? I'd like you to type six in the chat box. Okay. Yeah, contribution is powerful. It's the ultimate multiplier. I created my entire life around contribution. I remember begging and pleading in that hospital for a second chance, that if I got out, I was going to make a difference in this world, that I was going to change people's lives. Well, I had to hold that end of the bargain. And I designed a life specifically to contribute in every way that I can. I created a business for it. I love sitting with clients one-on-one and having powerful dialogue and then having an aha moment and changing their life in a split second, switching their whole paradigm, how they perceive everything in their life and changing their life forever. I love teaching people how to become recovery coaches and life coaches because I know that I can't do everything that I want to do in life by myself. I need other people to do it. So I share my skills and I multiply what I do because my mission is bigger than myself. And I need all the people that I can because there's so many issues in this world, whether it be addiction, trauma, bullying, self-esteem issues, or just not understanding people's full potential. We need help. And I'm going to help everybody learn how to help as many people as they possibly can. I love speaking on stages all across the country. I love inspiring and motivating and helping people break free from the chains of addiction or become the best version of themselves that they can be. That sets my soul on fire. I even wrote an international best-selling book, this book, Winning Against All Odds, that is changing people's lives across the whole world. My mission is to impact 1 million people, and I'm well on my way there. And that is the most fulfillment I've ever felt in my whole entire life. When I switched I shifted my needs to growth and contribution, my life became more meaningful. My life became more successful. My life became more fulfilling than it ever was before. And it was absolutely amazing. Now, I just explained all the reasons how I contribute in my business, but you don't have to own a business to contribute. It don't have to be on a grand scale of reaching 1 million people or anything like that. It could be as simple as helping somebody out when they need your help. Maybe the old lady down the block needs you to help her move her couch. That's contributing. Contributing to your family, becoming the best husband or wife you can be, or mother or father. And really finding a way to contribute to anybody. It could be a purpose. It could be a mission in your life. Find something to pour yourself out of. Find a way to help something outside of yourself. Because when you take the attention off of yourself, your life will change forever. It really is a powerful thing. Once you harness this and you experience it for yourself, your life will never be the same. Now, although all these needs are extremely powerful and they all have their place, everybody has their own hierarchy of what's more important to them. And if any of your behaviors, any activity, any person fulfills 3 of these 6 human needs, then you will be literally addicted to it, physically, mentally, and emotionally. That's why I used the example of doing drugs and selling drugs as my example for certainty, variety, significance, and love and connection, because it fulfilled 4 of my human needs. That's why I was so addicted. That's why people are so addicted to drugs. because it fulfills 4 of their 6 human needs. And it only takes 3 to be highly addicted to it, physically, mentally, and emotionally. That's the power of understanding what these human needs are and how you can incorporate them in your life for your advantage. So what I'd like you all to do is write down all these 6 human needs in hierarchy from most important to least important. And what this is going to do is going to give you a cheat sheet to show you why you do the things you do. Because all your behaviors, all the actions in your life, the only reason you do them is because they fulfill a specific need. Now, if you know what needs are being met with these destructive behaviors in your life, you can find an activity, a behavior, something to fulfill that need on a greater scale that can replace that. Because the fact of the matter is, truly happy people don't do drugs. If you are content with your life and your needs are met and fulfilled, you don't need them. That's the power of it. By knowing what fuels your fire, what motivates you to make the decisions that you make, you can change your whole life. Like I said in the beginning, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So are you willing to change the things that you do, to change the way you look at things, to create a life that you love to live and win against all odds? If you're with me, I'd like you to type "I'm with you" in the chat box, and let's go on this journey together. Thank you very much for everybody. We're going to be taking any kind of questions and Q&As at this point. So if you have anything that you'd like to ask, anything you'd like to discuss, write it in the chat box and I'll answer anything that you need to know. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's crazy to hear all the things that you've been through and just really inspiring, as we think about our own growth and our own needs. And I love that you were just talking about, like if you can figure out why, what need is being filled by a habit that you're doing, it helps switch it out for something more productive, more healthy. I love that point.
Yeah, the first thing is knowing. Once you know, you can kind of deal with it and work with it. And it's been a very powerful thing in my life as well.
So good. Okay. We have a few questions. If you have questions that you haven't submitted yet, you can just click the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and put them in here. But we have time for just a few questions. So first is, I guess, you said you were well read. So first question is, what was your favorite book of those 200 or so books that you read?
That is an excellent question. Oh man, that's such a tough question. I mean,
put you on the spot.
There's so many of them. There's so many amazing books. But one of my favorite books is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, because it really just gives you an idea on how to think in a more successful way. I mean, it's not even about money. It's about being effective, being efficient, knowing what you want and how to get driven and get those things accomplished. It's just a phenomenal book. Another really one that's close to there is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It's a way to learn how to communicate with people in a way that everybody gets their needs met, that you're not being manipulative, but you're actually helping them get their needs met as the same as yours. So those are probably one of my top 2.
That's great. That's so many. I'm sure you learned so much.
I love it. There's something always good about a book. When you read a book, if you get one piece of knowledge from that book, it was worth the time because you get to hold on to that forever. And that's powerful. It really, really is.
Yeah. Okay. Next question is, you have a lot of confidence and certainty. I struggle with that. Did you have any times where you think you couldn't do it?
Whew, that's another great question. There was absolutely a time where I didn't believe in myself at all. It really is about getting out of your comfort zone, just millimeters at a time. You don't have to jump into the deep end of the pool and be like, here I am. You need to dip your toe in the pool. Try it. Slowly push out of your comfort zone by little millimeters. And as you get more comfortable stepping out of your comfort zone, Your comfort zone will get this big, and then this big, and then this big. And as you start accomplishing the things that you were afraid of, they won't be as afraid anymore. There was a time like I couldn't talk to anybody, and I slowly but surely got into that. It's about taking little teeny steps in that direction. And once you realize that the only thing to fear is fear itself, you'll start getting a little more bolder. I suggest jumping out of a plane to start. No, I'm just kidding. But that is one way to get over. There's one way to get over fears.
Yeah.
It really isn't. Yeah, it's about just taking it one step at a time and pushing your boundaries a little bit. Don't get too brash and bite off too much that you can't swallow it. Just try little things.
Yeah, I think that's such good advice. I mean, there's so many times where you set yourself like New Year's resolutions, right? How many times have we set ourselves New Year's resolutions? They're huge. It's like, no more junk food, no more TV. Like, I'm going to run every day. And then those things, you fall through on something big, on this big goal. And then your confidence suffers, but those little things can be a win that you can take with you to the next.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then I have a question kind of from family members is how can family members support people who are going through the really hard times that you're going through? I'm thinking, during the time where you were using and where your family was supporting you, but not enabling you, maybe, like, how do you support without enable?
That's great right there. So that's exactly what you said. The fact of the matter is when somebody is in active addiction, you can't support them. You have to withdraw. I suggest hiring a professional intervention. I do interventions and I know what this is. Enabling is the worst thing that you can do to somebody in active addiction. It just absolutely works because the fact of the matter is everybody makes decisions by avoiding pain and obtaining pleasure. And if you're making their environment comfortable enough to use, they're never going to change. They have to hit rock bottom. They have to feel more pain in using than the pain it would take to get clean. Once they make that decision that it's more pain to use than the pain to get clean and more pleasure to get clean than the pleasure of getting high, that'll shift and they'll make that decision. But that's where interventionists come. That's where family coaching, that's where coaching, that's where getting some kind of support outside, because you can't support an addict using. You could tell them, listen, I love you and I want to support you, but I'm not going to support you if you continue to use. If you want help, if you need a program, if you need support, if you need absolutely anything to go into the direction of getting clean, I will help you. But I'm not going to sit here and watch you kill yourself, because I'm doing you more of a disservice by doing that. And that's a really, really tough decision for a family member to take. That's why I always suggest getting professional help when doing this, because it's hard to tell your son or your daughter to get out. It's a really tough decision to make, and really seeking professional help and advice is the way to go with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Professional help. We're biased, of course, because we're a professional center, but it can be so powerful, and it's scary to ask for professional help, but it's good. Okay. And then I'm just wondering, so we have people who are either watching now or they're going to watch on YouTube or whatever it may be, that are fresh in their recovery journey. They've been in therapy and in treatment, and maybe they're a couple days out of treatment, or maybe it's been a few months or whatever it may be. What would you say to them to encourage them forward?
Well, first, I would give you a round of applause, because that is an absolute amazing place to be. You finally made the decision to take back the reins of your life. And let me tell you, the grass is 1,000 times greener on the other side. You may feel like you're struggling. You may feel like you're hurting, but I'm telling you, my life is 1,000 times better than it was than I was doing drugs. And I lost my leg and I have pain throughout my whole body and I could barely move my hand. Like, even with all that, my life is better without drugs in it. Your mind is clearer. Your relationships are better. Your life, it's the first time that you get to wake up and make decisions for yourself. Because when you're on drugs, your addiction makes the decisions for you. And the advice that I could tell you is plug into a support system. Plug into something that's going to pick you up when you're feeling down. because you got to put in fail safes in your life, because there's going to be triggers, people, places, and things. There's going to be things you're going to have bad days and you're going to want to use. It happens to everybody, but you have to have things in place that are going to stop you, that are going to say, no, don't do that. Things that are going to remind you not to do it, whether it be a support system, whether it be, if you can't trust yourself with money, give your money to somebody else and say, listen, mom or wife or husband or whoever it is, listen, I would like to give you my money because I don't really trust myself with it right now. But I'm telling you, when you get over that hump, you got to find purpose. What we said earlier, like happy people don't do drugs. If you truly find fulfillment and happiness in your life, you're not going to need drugs. But it's really rocky in the beginning, but you need to find how you can get your needs met. I just did a whole entire talk on that. Finding a way to get what's your favorite need? Is it certainty? Is it significance? Is it love and connection? Whatever that top of that hierarchy was, find as many ways as you can to get that need met. Because that's what you were using drugs to get that need met. And if you find something that's healthy that gets that met, it's amazing. I always tell people go to the gym, because it's always motion creates emotion. And if you're sitting lethargic and you're just sitting around and you're moping and you're doing nothing, your body's going to feel like that. You're going to feel in the doldrums. But if you get up and start getting your body in momentum and you start getting your dopamine and your serotonin and your endorphins flowing through your body, it'll be a chain reaction. And once you start getting successes and once you start feeling and getting a taste of that good life, you're not going to want to go back.
It's good. Yeah. And same thing there, right? You can start small. If you've never been to the gym before, just go and walk on the treadmill for a little bit, start small and work it up. That's so good. And okay, my last question, where can we find you? What can people do to support you or see more of your work?
Excellent. Well, you can find me at truewarriorsuccess.com. You can also read my book, Winning Against All Odds, Discovering the True Warrior Within. This gets into depth with my whole story and how it came. And it's all about self-development. I plug in all different kind of lessons because I'm a coach by nature. And through all the lessons I've learned, I've really made it an autobiography / self-development book. So I really take you on this journey, this emotional roller coaster. I think you guys would really enjoy it. If you know anybody that's struggling with addiction, it's an incredible book for them to read. Family members that need help, that need to understand the nature of the beast and how they can help and what they can do. There's just so much in this book to really help anybody. And that's why I wrote the book. But yeah, on truewarriorsuccess.com is my website. You can reach me at kevin@truewarriorsuccess.com. And my handle for Instagram and TikTok is winning_against all odds. And I love to interact with people. I love to help people any way that I can. Like I said, I dedicated my life to this, and I really try to just get into an impact as many people as I can.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin. We really, really appreciate you being here, and your story is inspiring to so many people, and stories matter. So we're grateful for you telling yours.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure to be here.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining for today. It's been so fun to see the stories that are coming out of this speaker series, and the way that we are just kind of joining hands and saying, hey, life is hard. We've been through some hard stuff. There are struggles in our lives, whether they're the exact same struggle you have or maybe something different. We are certainly here for you and here to support you. And the speaker series as this free initiative to provide resources, inspiration, and encouragement to you all as you walk. And so if you need therapy, if you need to talk to somebody, or if you just have a question for us, you can certainly reach us. My email is amason@apnlodge.com, or you can just submit a contact form and we would be happy to chat. Until next time, keep an eye on your email inbox for the recording of this speaker series and the announcement for the next one. We have a great guest who's going to be talking about the trauma in her life and how she overcame that to win against all odds, as Kevin would say. So thank you all for joining. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next time at the APN Virtual Speaker Series.